Okay.
Sorry, you have to do it because I am in the phone.
Okay.
I cannot do it.
Okay, perfect. It's already.
Sorry.
No problem, no problem.
Okay.
Okay, so here we have, okay? So what is history? Consider this map in here, okay? It's full of words, and all the words in one way or another are connected. History, okay, is a science, okay? And what is a science? Because it's a study, okay? It's a science that is in charge of doing what, okay? It's in charge of studying the continuous events of the past, okay? This is, history is connected to the past, okay? So this science, okay, is going to study events, but there is a very particular word there, continuous, okay? Events are happening one after the other. One results into a consequence, and the consequence start a new event. Excuse me, and then comes another and another. So history is the story of the past, of continuous events, okay? So yes, history, okay, those events, okay, if you consider, okay, happen at a particular place and at a particular time. And sometimes history is complicated because you need to remember particular days and particular places. But still, that's what happens. History is about the particular place. It's about the particular people. It's about the particular moment in which events happen. There is a reunion of events that are the consequence of another. Perfect. Okay? So there in history, there is always a cause and effect fact. So when we talk about history, we need to divide history into two parts. With the invention of the writing, okay? Everything that happened before the invention of the writing, excuse me, okay, was orally transmitted, okay? So it was experiences passed from one generation to another in an oral way. And what happens when things are transmitted orally? The versions change, okay? Ideas are expanded, some lies are included, some facts are also added, they are modified. Okay, so the point about oral history is that it's not 100% accurate, okay? Or at least that version, okay? What it is expanded, basically, and then you have a lot of information there. But what happened when the man invented the writing? Okay, with the writing, they kept the records. And the man was able now, okay, to go to a particular time and place in order to say that happens because that's what is written here. At least that was an evidence, okay? And that is a very important thing about history, evidence, okay? Okay. So with the invention of the writing, we may talk about prehistory and history, okay? So in the time of the caves, the time of the stone man, etc., yes, what happened? How did we get to know about the past? Because there is a group of people, okay, in charge of doing the research, the investigation. Those are the historians, the archaeologists, the anthropologists, and later on the sociologists, okay, paleontologists. All these people are involved, okay, in compiling, putting together all the data, okay, all the information, and then analyze that. So you see, that's the reason why it's a study, it's a science, because you need particular people, okay, in order to collect the data and organize the data, okay? So, and they, okay, experience themselves in order to classify information and decide this belongs to here, the other thing belongs to the other, etc. and etc. And how these historians, archaeologists, and anthropologists get to know things? Okay, through excavations at the beginning, okay, with their findings, with the collection of data. Okay, so with the invention of the writing, yes, they started to use everything that was written, okay? If you ever know, there is something called the Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone is a huge stone written in 3 different languages. And that is the first source of written history in humanity. Okay, and from then on, yes, we have the Egyptians with their hieroglyphics, we have on the other side the Greeks with their writings, etc., the Chinese. History was taking place everywhere, and wherever they were people, okay, that needed to keep those records. You know that in China, I read yesterday that there was a man, okay, that he wanted to keep the records, but the people, okay, or the leader of the clan of that time was very jealous about, you know, allowing people to copy their own traditions, their own ways. So, but the man needed to ask, okay, that he tried to manipulate the leader, saying that this is going to be a way how history or people from the other generations will remember how great man you were. So the man considered it twice, and they gave him a proposal. Okay, I will allow you writing only if, no, you have 2 choices, excuse me. You have 2 choices. I don't want anybody to write about my stories, the story of my town. Our secrets are ours. So, or you die, or you are castrated. And the man chose to be castrated, but I write the stories, the events, the occurrences of every day. You know, that's interesting. That is a choice. Okay, so this is a very important thing. I already mentioned you here about the continuous events. History happens in a chronological order. Nothing can happen before something before push that to happen. Okay, so everything is a consequence of the other. History is divided into 3 parts. Okay, ancient history, medieval history, and modern history. Okay, so we are having 2 big divisions. Okay, we are having prehistory and history, and one, everything has been written, then we divide history, okay, according to the data that it was collected. Okay, let's go now to the other side of our bubble. History, okay, that is a science of continued events, tell the story of places, of people, okay, political reasons. Okay, wait a moment. Excuse me. Places, people, countries, societies in general, and who live in societies, people. And people are the ones to make history. Okay, I forgot one, that are the natural events. Okay, natural events change the course of history. People are there, but if all of a sudden there is an earthquake, okay, history is going to change for that particular society. Okay, it's going to be determined by an external factor. People are going to react and are going to overcome or not. Consider Lebanon. It wasn't a natural disaster, but they suffered a terrible explosion. Okay? This is a country, okay, that has suffered for so many years, you know, attacks, bombing, invasions, and they have, you know, recovered and start over again. What happened with Lebanon? They are having a political situation now, but the country decided to recover from the ashes again. And you saw in the videos people going into the streets and taking the brooms and starting to sweep their city. They say they know what is to live at war. They know what is the suffering. They know what it means to hide, okay, in order to avoid the attacks. They know that. So they experience once more the terrible story. So, and they knew that if they don't do it by themselves, the government won't do it. And the government is showing that is unable, okay, to cope with the circumstances. So people and external events, okay, are connected in a very important way. They, as society, consider that if they don't get together, they don't recover, okay? History is about economy. and how the economic situation of every country affects. Remember Venezuela, well, you don't remember because you have no records, okay, personal records of what it was to live during Carlos Andrés Pérez time, where going to the United States, it was a tabarato dame dos, okay? Yes, I lived that. We used to travel very often, and it wasn't that we were rich. We didn't know that we were, okay? But it was comfortable, okay? We lived a life in which you could do things. When Chavez got into power and came the time of the Caribe time, oh, everybody was rich again, okay? Everybody had the chance to travel, to study abroad once more. But okay, it was an economic situation of the moment, okay? And a terrible policy that later on needed, you needed to pay back. And as a consequence, okay, the country started in a big whoop, going down. But we live the experience of traveling again, okay? Considering this, many of you, many of your family members was able to travel, okay? Caribe was, okay, I know, very nice. Many people got money out of that. I remember a man, okay, who used to buy the cupos, okay, from many people, and he started to invest, bring things to Venezuela and selling them. He got a lot of money doing that. Okay, so once more, so history is about places, people, countries, weather, okay, economic reasons, okay. Remember, okay, the downfall of the market in America, the 29, the Great Recession, many things, okay, has been marked by economy. And now that we're living in this terrible hyperinflation and recession, yes, there is money, but everything costs too much. Venezuela, with our natural resources, we had a kind of living in the past. We used to say, oh, but oil is cheap. Not anymore. History has been changed, okay, now, but because of economic reasons, we are having a complete different perspective of things. And what about talking the political aspect? Okay, yes, it shapes history. Okay, definitely. Political ways are controlling people. You heard it yesterday with the Soviets, okay? How they control, how the Soviet people, the Russian people has lived, okay, or lived in such a terrible conditions. The weather in Russia is a determining factor, okay? The super cold weathers. During the Cold War times, Cold War, you know that many countries after 1991, when the Soviet Union was dissolved, many countries claimed their own independence. And the Soviet Union said, okay, you're free. But now, if before I gave you my gas, okay, in order to support, the entire country, now you have to pay for that. And obviously the emerging countries felt themselves that it was very hard because was Russia, the big mother, giving their milk. So now they need to produce it by themselves. Okay, so but these countries, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, all those countries needed to learn that they have to do it themselves. And they basically did. Still, Russia is the big mother, and now she controls the power, the money. You want gas from me? Okay, pay for that. So that's why Russia also understood that money talks. Okay, so there are many different reasons, okay, why history happens. Okay, all these particular reasons are going to determine the new day, okay, the new way history is changed, the way a country takes, okay, the way society react. But why is history so important? History is important because these events of the past, okay, just consider we've been conquered by the Spanish people. We speak Spanish because when they came, they brought Spanish with them. The majority of our countries, Latin American countries, are Catholics because they brought their religion with them. Um, We say chamo, pana, burda, chévere, because yes, we change the language to our own way. So yes, history is going to determine the traditions, the culture of our country, the idiosyncrasy, the way we are. Venezuelans are the way we are. We are the way we are because of our past, because everything that has happened to us. Okay? So that's the reason why, okay, we make mistakes. Okay? We had a very easy past life. The world, okay, blessed us with resources. And yes, the oil was there for so long, and we didn't need to worry too much about producing any other thing. The politicians didn't worry too much about changing the course of history, and now we are paying the consequences. So, but why studying history? History produces changes, and history produces evolution. Okay, history has made the events that every country has experienced in the past, okay, has made every country to move on. Repeating the mistakes of the past, probably, okay, but we move on. And then here we go again. Does history repeat? Ta-da! Yes, we are repeating with different perspectives, with different people, in different places, with at different moments, in different countries. Well, we are repeating the mistakes of the past. So the story of not repeating the mistakes of the past is complicated. Okay, it's complicated. We do mistakes of the past. Do we learn? Do we understand? No. Or yes, other societies. But are we going to make wiser decisions after the experiences of the past? Some people have done it, but not everyone. Okay? Consider poor Africa. Have you ever wondered why Africa is always below? Yes, because this was a continent that since the very beginning they were used. Africa has been the piece of lands, okay, of the greatest empires, okay. From Spanish had people went in there and conquered territory. Italy, France, England, all of them have their colonies there. And the Africans, even though they have supernatural resources, didn't learn what to do but to give them to others. And the profit, okay, was kept in the hands of the others. The little thing was given to the country. And besides politicians haven't been wise because power is terrible. So the experience of the past, and that's the reason why, among many other things, okay, Africa, since the very beginning, using their labor as a slave. So slavery, people taking them to work the fields of others. So these Black people, okay, consider themselves inferior in one way or another. So in history, they have traveled through history in order to hold the horse with the reins, okay? Okay, their own race, okay? And race is another factor. Okay, so once more, history, what I wanted to say, okay, give us experience, okay? Experience of the past, okay? Everything that happened to us is our culture, our heritage. So the good things about history is that we have seen throughout the years inventions, discoveries. We are not anymore the people that we used to do in the past. Thank God that Leonardo da Vinci existed with such a brilliant mind, okay? Thinking about inventions, creating and creating, okay? So if you consider, we mentioned before, yes, he got the first prototype of the parachute, of the submarine, of the scuba diving suit. He made the first anatomic book, okay? I don't know if I've repeated this before, but he used to live in the basement of the church, hidden, and he opened dead bodies, and he started to study. He dissected dead bodies in order to study, and started sketching everything that he saw. And he did it privately, quietly. Why? Because it was, terrible to be known that he was doing such a terrible thing, especially in the church basement. Huh? So, but thank God that he did that, okay? Because he dared, and this is about history. This is about the people. People dare to make changes, okay? So, um, so history is this and more, okay? This and more, okay? History is the memory of every country, okay? So in the future, everything that we know is because something happened to us in the past, okay? So now, as you can see, there are other words that I mentioned that are not there, but you see that history is not only, okay, a science that studies the events of the past. That Herodotus, okay, in the year 50 till 479, okay, when he lived, okay, was the father of history. Is the father of history in the Western civilization, okay? But there were many other people taking records, okay, of the events that happened in the past, keeping notes about what they saw, what they heard, what happened to the other civilizations. Okay, so history, okay, is a very interesting thing. Probably the history classes sometimes are boring and we fall asleep, but history goes beyond, okay? And let me go with the second. Okay, yes, to know about history, you get a book and you get to read. That's obviously. But there is something about very important. Learning through hardbound history textbooks sometimes can be confusing. Why? Because they have different versions, different perspectives, different approaches. And then you wonder who to believe, okay? So that's the reason why history allows you to develop a critical mind. When you read and you are able to separate and see things from outside, you can say, these people believe these things, but the other tell the story in a different way. Okay? So what are other resources besides? Okay, one second, excuse me. Okay, so watch historical movies. I love watching historical movies. It's a faster way to get information about people. I love biographies. I love, okay, stories being told about the past. I mentioned you yesterday that there is a series in Netflix. I don't know if it's 10 chapters about the SARS, okay? The last SARS, the Romanov story. Very interesting, okay? And teacher didn't mention anything about crazy Rasputin, okay? But he was a very influential character in that family. Okay, reading inspiring autobiographies, visiting museums, touring historical places, attending cultural events. Read and travel, okay? History is fascinating, okay? Because if you consider everything that you watch, that you read, that you experience, yes, visiting museums may be boring, but when you have some information of the past and then you go into a museum and you're in front of a sculpture, then you can consider, okay, oh, I studied this, I heard this in my school. Look, it's here. Yes, it's interesting. Okay, and yes, for example, well, sometime in the past I used to teach art history, and in art history we went into the Greek art, etc., etc. And then some of my students, I don't know if I was your art history, maybe not, I don't remember now. They went to Europe and they were in front, they were in, let's say, they were in the Louvre. He said, teacher, I remember you. I saw the sculpture, this and the other sculptures, the columns, the Corinthian capitals, whatever. And it was very funny to hear that. You know, but it's interesting when you face history in front of your eyes, especially when you visit a museum that may be boring, okay, but when you have a different approach, then you take advantage of that. I remember when we traveled for the first time to Paris and we went to into the Louvre, my sons, okay, I took them there and I said, how boring, this is all sculptures everywhere. I said, oh, come on, when are we finishing? And I, as a super nerd teacher, was fascinated watching everything. It's different. History is amazing when you are a little bit older because you really, really taste what you learned in the past. Okay, so history, those that fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Winston Churchill. Well, Churchill was a dairyman, okay? Dairyman. The only person who really manipulated him was his wife. He loved drinking and smoking, but he always listened to his wife, okay? There is a good wife. There is a good woman behind a very important man. Man, okay, yes, man, okay, women also, okay, but men are have led, you know, history more than women. Women with the time have fought in order to gain their place in society. And you know, even today, we can recall many women who have become presidents of nations. Okay? And here there is a compass. The compass tells you where the north is. History, okay. We need to find the north, okay? So I really, really hope that someday Venezuela gets back, or gets rid about this type of government we are living, okay, for so many years. You as a society, you as a young generation need to experience a different perspective, okay? Need to start living in a country of the future. We are living the future with technology nowadays in Zoom classes, but still, what happens outside is terrible. I need to leave because internet connection is terrible. Okay, I'm gonna stop the sharing. Okay, guys, let me stop here.